right, everybody, welcome back to Hot Route Takes. This is the NFL Week 4 recap. We have quite a bit of good Sunday football and the Thursday night game to get to and cover for you guys. So, without any further delay, we're going to jump right into it. Starting with that Thursday night football game, it was a divisional matchup between the NFC North Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers. Detroit pretty much firm command of this game all night long. 34-20 ended up being the final score. But if you're a David Montgomery fantasy owner, you had a great day because he got in the end zone 3 separate times on this night. Jordan Love struggling, probably his worst game of the year just because of the turnovers, 2 picks, and no ground game to speak of in Green Bay. Even with Aaron Jones back, he just got 5 carries, and he still led the team with 18 yards rushing. But really what this boils down to was David Montgomery's big night, 32 carries, 121 yards, and I think Detroit played strong physical football throughout, and that was the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chase. I think Detroit really claimed leadership of that division, I would say. I mean, they're the clear top dogs, and they just kind of beat down their little brother, Green Bay. I believe this is the 4th time on the road they beat Green Bay. So, there's some tension there, I would say, between the two for the division. I thought Detroit really dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And I was surprised that David Montgomery was an integral part of their plan because he was injured coming into the game and questionable to play, and didn't matter, 32 carries, and he really took the team on his back and led them to victory as far as offensive performance goes. But really, I think the story of this game was Aiden Hutchinson, man, just getting after the quarterback and just being a game wrecker. That Detroit defense really has it definitely has surpassed my expectations, but definitely better than I think the consensus was on Detroit.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit on Detroit more than I am Green Bay because I kind of got my thoughts on Green Bay pretty loud on this pod. But big thing I noticed was Jared Goff coming back from that interception. That's been a big problem for him in the past, and he kind of just put that to the side and carried on and really played great this game, other than the pick. Then my big thing is just Gibbs. More and more it's kind of looking like a waste of a pick for them. But I will say, I like how they do spread the ball around, give it to multiple playmakers. Jamison Williams is coming back to wondering how they're going to make him be in this offense. And then a big, kind of thing that I'm worried about for them is, Brian Branch did leave the game. I ain't got any updates on that I've seen so far.
He came back.
But no, he did? Okay.
He came back in the game.
And then Sam Laporta, steal of the draft. I mean, this guy's been their number one weapon in the passing game, you can say, other than St. Brown. And then my last thing is just, like Brian kind of hit it on with the Aiden Hutchinson. I think they're making, Jacksonville regret not picking him with that number 1 pick more and more if they're seeing this guy on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Trayvon Walker has not come near the production of Aiden Hutchinson early on in their careers, obviously a long time ago, but looking like a home run pick for Detroit and really been the anchor of that defense. Just good, sound football in the quarter point of the season, a 3-1 start, not much more than you can ask for out of Detroit with some very notable wins, including KC opening night. So we'll move on to the Sunday slate of action. That starts with our first London game of the year, the Jacksonville Jaguars, known for their London games. Obviously, they get one a year. They opened it up with Atlanta. Jacksonville coming off a tough loss against Houston, and Atlanta had dropped to Detroit the week before, so both teams looking to bounce back. And it was Jacksonville that was in firm command of this one the whole way. And much like we speculated, when Atlanta gets behind and Desmond Ritter's forced to beat you, usually spells trouble, and at least we thought, and that was really the case of the day. Things reaching a boiling point, as I believe it was Matt Collins had a flare up with Ritter on the side. Ritter's, he's got some guys open, he's got talent around him. It may not be the most flashy, but he's got guys to get the ball to, and he's not really doing his job right now. 2 picks today and still didn't eclipse the 200-yard marker when you're behind the whole game and forced to pass. That's a bit surprising. So other than that, that was my big takeaway on Atlanta's side. I think Jacksonville is just doing what they need to do to bounce back and get a win.
Yeah, I think things are starting to get a little ugly with Atlanta's offense right now with Desmond Ritter, like you had said. But at some point, they're going to have to make a change here and either go with Tyler Heineke or, a trade that I see kind of on the horizon. If things start going south for Tennessee, I'm telling you, Ryan Tannehill could fit in this offense, and it would be so much better with Ryan Tannehill. running this. And I'm not speaking just good about Ryan Tannehill. I'm just speaking Desmond Ritter's been poor. And this offense, if you cannot make something happen, you're probably it's not going to happen for you, because with this run game to lean on, scheming stuff up like Arthur Smith can do with these weapons and just nothing through the air, I think it's time to press sell if you had any stock in Desmond Ridder. But that's the main takeaway I had.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Tennessee game. Well, I don't think your trade's probably going to happen, but I just think, Trevor Lawrence and them got back on where they need to be, got the ball moving, and it's kind of, Christian Kirk's going back into his number one role might be what we see for this team future, because, I mean, since he's been leading in touches and, they've been winning those games, so I think that might be a sign they might need to change it back up and go with Christian Kirk being the number one guy maybe just for a couple weeks until, Ridley get all the way back. A year off, it's going to take some time to get back in. And then for the Falcons, man, it might be a Desmond Ridder thing. You have those big weapons, at least throw it up and try to give it to him. I think that may be what his problem is. He just doesn't want to throw, those NFL type throws and let your wide receivers go up and make those plays. He's more, wants to see the separations, kind of what I seen today. And just, when I seen the 2 interceptions, they were not good interceptions. And, I'm hollering like, okay, this is where Heineke's going to come in. And then, they go to the sideline and go, oh, the coach is not even thinking about bringing him in. So, that's just, if you can stop Atlanta's run game and you get this guy passing, that's just going to be how you're going to beat them. So unless, like Brian said, a quarterback change happened, I think it's going to be a couple good games out of Atlanta and some rough ones like we've seen today.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd agree. And it's tough because Bijan's over 100 yards again today. Like, the ground game is there, but when you're behind, you're forced to pass, especially as quickly as they got behind in that big a deficit. So you need a guy that can will you back and get the ball around and make plays. But I don't know. It's early on, Desmond Ridder. It's not looking like that guy. We'll continue to monitor that as we go forward, and hopefully for Atlanta's sake, they start to see some more plays out of him. Moving on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time setting this one up. I'm going to let Brian deep dive this one because the Miami Dolphins suffered their first loss of the season, 48-20 loss going on the road to Buffalo. And we thought this was the game of the week, the one to look forward to, especially for Miami coming off the 70-point output against Denver. But Buffalo has looked just as good these last 2 weeks. And Josh Allen, outside of week 1 against a good defense, he has played really good football so far these last 3 weeks. And Stephon Diggs had his biggest day, really torched him in the first half more than anything. 3 touchdowns, right, in the first half? Or no, he had 2 and then 1 in the second. But 3 touchdowns on the day, just his best game of the year. And by no surprise, that's what led to the 48 points put up by Buffalo.
Yeah, I think this is everything coming back down to earth for Dolphins fans everywhere, because really what happened here was everything that could have went wrong for Miami. You saw Teron Armstead go down. That's something we really can't afford, especially when they were able to scheme up a game plan that threw off Miami's timing by getting hands on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at the line of scrimmage, and then being able to get pressure like Miami has not had to deal with all season. 4 sacks in this game, which isn't a lot, but Tua was constantly moving, constantly getting rid of the ball before he wanted to, and it just threw off the timing of all the plays because, we really want to attack the middle of the field. We want to attack deep down the field, but Tua was having to get off his spot, move around a good bit, and he was just having to really just attempt to take care of the football because he could have forced it into some murky waters, but it just wasn't worth attempting. The offensive line was breaking down so fast. And so, we got punched in the mouth. That's really what it came down to. Credit to Josh Allen, though. He played a heck of a game. But as far as Miami goes and what needs to happen going forward is the offense actually looked fine. Tua took plenty of hits, got up. But defensively, things are starting to get a little worrisome. We cannot stop Josh Allen. It just seems to be a reoccurring thing. Josh Allen has just big games against us. 21-25, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just lit us up, man. And really wasn't the run that did it, but we couldn't tackle an open field. So that's a big thing. And Kader Kohu just can't stick Stephon Diggs. It just is what it is. Would things look a little bit different? with Jalen Ramsey or Jalen Phillips or Teron Armstead? Potentially, but probably not 28 points different. So we'll see him again in Week 18. But credit to the Bills. You got to tip your hat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to speak too much because you kind of, hit on a lot of things. But, I did pick Buffalo to win this game. Did not see it being like this last week. I said maybe, a touchdown I can see them coming away with. But, I mean, Josh Allen played a perfect game. And, I mean, that's what I think it's going to take to beat a Miami team. If you're going to want to do it, is your quarterback going to have to play near perfect. And Josh Allen did that today. I was kind of surprised they couldn't get the running game to even really do anything much of the game. But it just seems like, I mean, the passing game was there and it worked. And I'll give, Buffalo a big shout out. Lost a bunch of players in this game and even before entering this game. And they, I mean, really shut down the passing attack better than I definitely thought they would. They're very heavy zone team. And Brian even said last week that maybe can, play into Miami's favor. But, I'll just give them a shout out, for just playing a perfect game with the injuries. And my big thing moving forward is just when Miami maybe play these elite quarterbacks, maybe, worry a little bit more about the defense. So we've seen what, my Chargers didn't do it to this level, but we had success. Our defense just couldn't pull through. That was the opposite on this Buffalo side. So, for me looking forward, at least when Miami goes in, I know they play KC at some point this year. That'd be a close game to look at this defense again, but playing elite quarterbacks with elite offenses, can their defense actually show up is going to be, something I look into moving forward.
Yeah, definitely look like a team that could desperately use Jalen Ramsey on the outside sooner rather than later. And when you face the really good quarterbacks, days like this can happen in the NFL. It's a very humbling league. You go from a 70-point performance near record setting, all those things, to a tough road loss in a division. So we know these guys. We know both of these teams. They're both good football teams. Miami will bounce back. I don't really have much worry about that. We'll move forward to probably the most underwhelming game just going into and not really looking forward to watching much of. But I will give credit to these two teams. They both played very hard, and they gave us a game. They really did. Early on in the day, it was Justin Fields. I'm, of course, sorry to set this up. Broncos-Bears is the matchup I'm talking of. But Justin Fields was having his best day. He ended up having his best day on the year. He looked like a completely different person. We saw flashes of last year's Justin Fields. Over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Very, very good day for Justin Fields. Bears built a good lead. In fact, they had a 28-7 lead with a minute less than a minute left in the third quarter. Then Denver reeled off 3 touchdowns and a field goal with under 2 minutes. One of those was a defensive score, which was the one that tied it in the fourth. I mean, Russell moved the ball, I guess, but it's more of a Bears collapse in my mind, I would think. And that's just a testament to this team being young and not knowing how to finish off games right now. And Justin did his part to get him that lead, but the elite quarterbacks put that one final drive together and just finish it. Don't even give them the puncher's chance of getting back into that game. And then the defensive touchdown for Denver really set that up. And one final job to get the field goal was the difference. So Denver gets their first one of the year. Any takeaways from this one, guys?
Yeah, I thought Justin Fields played a heck of a game. Obviously, you would expect to come up with a dub in a game where your quarterback performs at this level with 4 touchdowns. He threw the pick that really killed it. But other than that, Justin Fields played a good game, and the Bears just collapsed, man, and just handed the game over to Denver. So, like what you said, Chase, I don't have a whole lot to say here, but I thought it was encouraging to see Justin Fields be playing at a level that you can at least say it's competent, even if it is against Denver.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak too long about it either. I just think this was the game Chicago had in the bag. I mean, they talked about the running game not being in existence. They did that today. I mean, anything that was kind of a question mark for the Chicago team did get answered, and then it kind of fell apart. I mean, went to the fourth quarter and didn't do anything offensively and then ultimately lost. So it wasn't just a drive. I mean, they had the whole fourth quarter to do something and couldn't do anything. Now, I mean, I understand it is the last drive of the game, but that's where the interception came, and he was trying to lead the tight end, thought he was going to stop a little earlier, then he kept going, and then he threw it behind him, threw it right to the defender. But, I mean, that's just, big moments. Justin Fields hadn't had many in his NFL career just because the team's never there for him to have them. So I will like to see what Justin Fields do, this next week with this performance and see how he carries on the rest of the season. But I just think it was really, I mean, if I have to point fingers, I mean, I'm really leaning more coaching than Justin Fields because, I mean, he played great. It's just I feel like they still don't open that playbook up just enough for Justin Fields and them.
Where are the designed runs for Justin Fields?
It worked so well last year. It worked so well, and they
Yeah.
just went away from it. For what reason? I don't know. I truly
Oh,
don't
the last thing I
know.
will say about Chicago is Chase Claypool is being, seeked for a trade for a 5th or 6th round pick after his comments, which he only has 4 catches on the year, so it doesn't really matter. So take that how you want to.
Yeah. Just a complete mess, and honestly, a deserved 0-4 start for Chicago because they've played some of the worst football this year. Not enough to get the win, even though that was their best performance, probably not enough to get the win against Denver. So we'll see how things move forward going there. Honestly, as we get to this next matchup, if there's been a team as disappointing given their expectations, it's this Cincinnati Bengals team. A team a lot of people had winning the division, if not winning division, making a deep playoff run as a wild card, something along those lines. And Joe Burrow, I think his stubbornness to not sit and get healthy before the season or even take the first 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it would have been, to get healthy and be himself, it's coming back to bite him because he does not look himself. Things really boiled over today because Tennessee punched them in the mouth and was out physicaling them all day long. A 27-3 beatdown from the Titans. Did not see this one coming. But given how the Bengals offense has been all year, I can't say I'm surprised. Boiling over to the frustration to a point to where Jamar Chase was asked about it post game, and he said, "I'm always open. I don't know. I'm getting open." Like that's just an unheard of comment for a guy with that type of relationship with a quarterback he played college ball with. So
Yep.
those guys are tight. I get the frustration, but a little weird jab to throw in at your quarterback, I guess, especially knowing he's not completely healthy. But I'll flip it over and touch on Tennessee a little bit before I turn it over to you guys. Derrick Henry with his most Derrick Henry-esque run you could think of in his second quarter touchdown run. Shed like 3 tackles, stiff-armed a guy, and then just somehow a 6'3" guy still outruns the whole defense up the sideline for a touchdown. He's still really good, man. And I just props to Derrick Henry and all you've done throughout your career. You've been a great bat for a long time, and honestly, you're going to be in Canton one day. I don't think we sing his praises enough. So, a little shine for him. Before we hear your thoughts on what you saw from the Bengals or Titans in this game, guys.
Wow, Chase, I see you poking the pot a little bit there, trying to stir up some drama. Jamar Chase and
hey,
division rival, and
the talent of those guys is unreal. I mean, I respect it, but I predicted Joe Burrow to win MVP. Had I known the health concern was this serious, I may not have done that, but I still respect that talent. I think so much of that team, so it's very shocking to see a 3-point output and to back what the other offensive performances have been so far this year.
At what point do we start asking questions about the Cincinnati team and how legit they are? Because you keep giving them a pass, they'll get right. Well, here they are getting blown out by 24 against Tennessee, and we all were ready to sail last week.
Yeah.
What do we make of Tennessee on the flip side of things? Ryan Tannehill playing good, inspired ball, but what did he have? The run game. It's back, baby. Derrick Henry able to get going on the ground, and magically Ryan Tannehill looks like a good quarterback again. DeAndre Hopkins getting a little stuff going on through the air. I would say I'm surprised, but at the same time I'm not. Like Jay said, Cincinnati's got to figure it out, and I don't know if they will at this point. That's all I got.
Yeah, I just want to start out on the Cincinnati side. T. Higgins is out for a couple of weeks. He did have a rib fracture injury. They said we'll miss some time. So that's another weapon on the Cincinnati team, which you're going to miss. So, I mean, Joe Burrow's already playing this bad, and then that happens. I've been hitting the drum way before y'all kind of did on the Joe Burrow thing, just not looking right. And, I mean, we're still sitting here not looking good. So, I mean, at this point, I don't really know. I'm kind of like Brian, what he was hitting on. I'm ready to go. I'm not thinking that this Cincinnati team is the team I thought they were coming into this year. But on the Tennessee side, it's the same thing. I mean, unless Derrick Henry get going, you kind of know what you're getting out of this team. But I will say, they're 2-2. That division right now, I think everybody's kind of, floating in that same area. So I'm ready to see what this division look like in a couple more weeks on that side. But I do like, Derrick Henry did do his thing, but I do like how they get Spears in there every once in a while and really changes the game up a little bit. But only has 5 touches, 40 yards, average 8. I like how they're mixing at least both the running backs in to at least try some different things. But I will say, the last thing is just, Derrick Henry, little passing touchdown. I think we've seen it, last year it was, or at least, they did that play not too long ago. I remember seeing that. And then, I mean,
They did
ultimately,
it to us. Yeah. Henry threw
and then
against
I mean, it was the
playoffs.
same exact play. Right when he took it, I seen him go out, and I knew it was. But just to end on everything with this game is just, you're going to lose when Derrick Henry has more passing touchdowns than your own starting quarterback.
A guy that just got the largest contract in NFL history, by the way. Like, this is unheard of stuff. Like, we could not have foreseen this coming from Cincinnati. So if we're all watching one team in particular these next few weeks, it's going to be them, because in the AFC, 1-3 start's tough, but you get into the 1-4, the 2-5 territories, you're really flirting with missing the playoffs with this conference. So we'll watch out for that team. Moving on to the AFC North matchup of the week, we had my Ravens to Cleveland to take on the Browns, both 2-1 teams. And man, really the most refreshing game for me to watch all year, because I think this Baltimore defense heard a lot of how good Cleveland's defense was and took that a little personal. And let me tell you, some of the hits I saw today from Roquan Smith, it made me question whether they were going to draw a flag in today's NFL. But credit to the refs for seeing the division rivalry and the physical nature of these two teams and just letting them play. Because before I get any further, Deshaun Watson was out. We did not know that coming into this one. The shoulder injury kept him from playing, which was a shock to all. So I think the Ravens defense did what they were supposed to do against a rookie backup quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But he got the treatment, the welcome to the NFL treatment, because he got hit around a lot. And the defense was just out of this world. 3 picks on the day. They had 4 sacks. No rushing game for Cleveland never really got established. And the offense, yet again, was sloppy, but the second quarter was some of the most crisp offense I've ever seen. Lamar, you're going to look at this box score and maybe be a bit underwhelmed, but he threw some of the most on-target dime passes I've seen, 3 of them in particular on one drive. His touch, I've questioned at times. He dropped a little wheel route with perfect touch to Melvin Gordon, of all people, running the dang wheel route. I would not expect that, but perfectly dropped it in the bucket to him. He rolled out, extending a play, and then threw it on a dime, 43 yards to Zay Flowers, in stride, just in bounds. And then the touchdown throw to Mark Andrews, where only he could catch it in the back pylon of the end zone. That encapsulated Lamar's day perfectly for me, because he was very in command. Just 19 pass attempts and only 186 yards, but a 142 rating and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So the offense very much got the lead and knew they were facing a rookie quarterback, so just played don't turn the football over football in the second half. Mm-hmm. And that was plenty enough for this defense against a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, Chase, I think being a Ravens fan, you got to feel real good about this performance, especially from the offensive side of things. I know the defense played extremely well, but to see the pieces start to come together in the offense, you see the ball through the air goes through the middle with Mark Andrews, and then you have Zay Flowers to make stuff happen on the outside, and then you have complementary weapons around that, and you got Lamar Jackson, who is still active in the run game, but dialed back just a tad and more through the air. You got to love it. And they came in, they won the game. And, of course, it was without Deshaun Watson, but you got to feel inspired given the performance of both sides of the ball. But for me, big picture-wise, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Down to starting receivers. Yeah. No OBJ and no Rashad Bateman. So very pleased with that.
Yeah, I picked Cleveland to win this game. Then, no Deshaun Watson, really, I pumped the brakes immediately and knew that wasn't going to happen. A lot of people talk about rookie quarterbacks and playing New England. I think after that team, it's rookie quarterbacks playing Baltimore is the next problem. I mean, hate to say it, but I think a lot of rookie quarterbacks don't want to go in there. I mean, the kid played. I understand preseason he looked great, but that's also you're playing, the third stringers with you, and you can look great in the preseason. He was not ready to play this team, and just no Nick Chubb. We've seen that. Maybe this is a a big effect. But even without Nick Chubb, I don't think that helps this game that much without Deshaun Watson. I will say, I was impressed with the offense. I've been giving Chase a hard time with the offense, but this week looked good being 2 down, 2 weapons. So, I'm kind of ready to see, everyone healthy to see if the offense will, be what we've been hearing. But I will say, just they should have won, did win. Happy to see their defense bounce back after what we seen last week.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the biggest takeaway, a 2-0 start in the division, no matter how it happens, when you're down this many guys, I'll take that every day of the week. And 3-1 start's good enough to lead the division. So good vibes for me right now. We'll move it on to a team that Christian was on. And gosh, this team earns my respect more and more every single week. It's the Indianapolis Colts, who won and broke my heart last week on a game in overtime. This time they fell short in overtime against the LA Rams and Matt Stafford, but I'm gonna sing some praise to the Colts because they got down 23-0 in this game. After halftime, 23-0, and they put together competent drives, getting back on schedule. Anthony Richardson just getting the ball around a little bit, making plays, and the ground game doing their thing, and the defense never bending anymore. And they knew they had to pretty much throw a shutout in the second half, and they did so just to get the game back tied. And then you got into overtime, and it was very electric football to watch. Ultimately, Puka catching his first career touchdown was the walk-off in this one. But just really loving what I'm seeing from the Colts. Two teams that have exceeded my expectations so far.
Yeah.
And right now they're both 2-2, which is kind of crazy. But I think 4 weeks in, they've played good football each week. So credit to both these teams.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one because I did not watch this one. I would like to get caught up on this one, though, because it looks like it was a heck of a game. A couple things I did notice looking at the box score is this Puka Nacua guy, man. He keeps putting up numbers every single week. I mean, what is this? Is this dude elite? And just came out of nowhere? Did he just gifted by the football gods to the Rams? Like, I know you guys don't have any draft picks. Here, have this guy. I don't even know what draft pick this guy was. 6th, 7th round. Like, he's just coming in balling. And, hats off to him. And then on the other side of things, the Colts, Michael Pittman, no catches. 0. Kind of crazy. Oh, no, he had 1 catch for 15 yards on 5 targets. That must have been right at the end of the game. Surprised. Anthony Richardson, nice dual effort here in this football game. I'll let Christian touch on that. I know that's his guy.
Yeah, no, I've really kind of watched this game very closely, and the Colts did everything they should have in the fourth quarter. I think the Rams only had 1 first down the whole fourth quarter, really locked things up, and I don't know if, the concussion took him a while to wake up, but eventually he woke up in the end of that third quarter and played great the rest of the game. And I just think ultimately it really came down with who got the ball in overtime and who was going to win this one. But I will say Matthew Stafford went back to Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford at the end of this game. He took a shot, was limping 2 drives down the field, barely could walk. I mean, this guy going forward, I don't know what the Rams are going to do because, he looked hurt out there. I was waiting on them to pull him. They did not. I guess, he wanted to go back and vintage Matt Stafford and lead, being a one-arm, one-leg guy, and that's what he did. And, the Colts, it was a great game, but it's just, took a little bit for me to go, if the Colts would have got started a little bit earlier, this game would have definitely been in their favor. But I think this Rams team, we'll all will say definitely, not what we expected them and this Colts team. So I think this was, a good matchup for both of these teams, and they just show how tough they are and just I think ultimately shows how good these coaching staffs are for both of these teams.
Couldn't agree with you more, Christian. Just very impressed from what I've seen from both of them so far. And honestly, a team that's right there in that category is this next one we're going to talk about. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team we all had finishing the basement of the NFC South. No expectations for this team. And I'm going to quit saying that I'm expecting a Baker Mayfield-esque turnover margin or whatever game from him on these preview episodes we do, because every week he comes out and just plays clean football. And Derek Carr was a question mark for the Saints. He ended up playing, but it didn't matter because the Saints offense couldn't really generate much against the defense, Tampa Bay defense all day long. And then when you got Baker on the other side playing clean without a Mike Evans who went out in this ball game, just really set the tone. I didn't expect it because with Kamara coming back, with Derek Carr actually playing, I thought New Orleans matched up pretty well. But yet again, Tampa Bay exceeding expectations, a 26-9 victory in this one.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit here, Chase, because I do expect the Baker Mayfield game to come. Maybe not against the Saints, who I thought were maybe a little overhyped coming into the season. I still think they are. I think they got pretty good players across the roster, but I do not think Derek Carr was healthy in this football game. He was not himself. It was not a pretty effort on his behalf. Poultry, 5.5 yards per attempt today on 37 attempts. That's good for 127 yards passing. Not very good. They just couldn't get anything going. But one thing I am ready to solidify and talk good about is this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. It's been nothing short of great so far this season. Tampa Bay's defense has came to play, and that's something I definitely did not expect. I thought they had some good players still there on the roster, but I didn't expect them to be this good. But they are. Here they are, and they are very much in this thing in the NFC South.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go. What Chase said is I think Baker Mayfield has realized this is his last stop, and he has to play great, and that's kind of what he's been doing. Last week I gave the defense some praise, and I think, like I said last week, I just think this defense is better than they thought. A lot of people on the outside thought they were going to be, when in reality it's really a lot of the same guys, just one or two pieces missing because of cap reasons. But the only downside for me with Tampa Bay is, in the second quarter, Mike Evans did go down with a calf injury. So, with not having him in this offense in the future might be a problem. So we ain't got any updates on that. And then just the rushing attack eventually has to get going for Tampa Bay for me to be really sold on this team. And I don't think we done seen 4 weeks and it hasn't happened. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And just, on the Saints side, I'll talk a little bit about, one, Derek Carr did not look healthy this game in the little bit I watched, and then he did take a shot and got taken out of the game. And then Taysom Hill comes in, that quarterback, which I wish would never happen. I don't know how this guy, no matter the coaching staff, somehow is getting put in at quarterback. And then, the last thing I'll hit on is, I've been high on Jameis, waiting to see him. He did come in for one snap, and did a Jameis Winston play, overthrew the heck out of the wide receiver, interception. So that answers my question on why Jameis Winston has not been talked about as a starter or anything, because it just seems like that has, long gone, not going to happen.
Yeah. But credit to Tampa on the flip side of that for Baker. He was in Jameis's shoes, honestly. He was really starting to get pegged as the prototypical backup quarterback that you want in the NFL. And he knows this is his last shot, and he's playing some of the best football I've seen out of him in quite a while. So credit to Tampa, 3-1 start, not many expected. Moving on, we have 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. The first one is the Philadelphia Eagles, which we're going to touch on in their matchup today. Really got in a dogfight with Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders. This game went to overtime, and Sam Howell orchestrated a beautiful, beautiful touchdown drive at the end of the game, hitting Jahan Dotson on the final play of regulation to send this game to overtime. He had a good day against a good defense. Unfortunately, he just got outplayed just a bit in heading into overtime as well by Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, who both had their prototypical big days. A.J. Brown, 9 catches, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was the difference. Eagles won this one by a field goal. A lot closer gap than we expected.
Yeah, Philly just keeps finding themselves to be in this situation in games where it's a little bit closer than everyone expected it to be, but they still pull through. And man, this one gets as close as it gets. Going to overtime, nail biter, scaring the heck of all the Eagles fans across the United States and everywhere else. Man, the Washington Commanders, I just not ready to buy in yet, just because Philly has played down to their opponents. But ultimately they pull out the win. But I think eventually Philly's going to get bit by one of these games where they play a little bit down to their opponent, and their opponent's able to snatch it last second and take it away from them. Maybe. We'll see. Philly definitely is still a very good football team. Jalen Hurts, over 300 yards passing today. A.J. Brown had another monstrous day. and they actually slowed down the rushing attack for Philly, so they had to lean to the air, and the Philly was able to do it, and I think that's what makes them a good team is they can beat you in so many different ways, whether it be their defensive line, the rushing attack, or even through the air, they can win. So props to the Eagles, but also hats off to the Washington Commanders for keeping this game a lot closer than I think many expected.
Yeah, I'm going to speak on the Eagles side a little bit more because, I kind of caught the end of the game and watched, the fourth quarter ending and then the overtime. And, I will say what I noticed through some of the little highlights I've seen and then definitely in the fourth quarter is that running game did get shut down. And that was that vertical threat of A.J. Brown finally came in. A big thing I've been talking about is just, they couldn't get this vertical attack going that we seen last year. And today was, Devontae Smith had one just amazing high ball catch. And then A.J. Brown had, I think, 2 or 3 that he just broke loose. So if they can keep that in this offense, it should be a very good, future for this Eagles team. Then on the Commander side, Brian Robinson had some mean, tough runs, but just, couldn't really get a lot moving on this Eagles defense, which, not too many running backs can. But I will say I did catch, the overtime drive, and honestly, crazy that, Scary Terry had the first down in overtime. He got one toe down, and then the other foot landed on a defensive player arm, so he couldn't get his second foot in, went out of bounds. They had to give the Eagles the ball. Once that happened, I kind of knew it was all Eagles from there, and then they went down the field, got the field goal, which, I will say the Eagles kicker, Elliott, man, he has helped them win a lot of these games. This dude is automatic from anywhere this year, so, at least they got that definitely locked and loaded, and they know that going forward.
Yeah, doing what they can just to get by, but 4-0 start from this roster wasn't something out of the question for us. It's just been the way they've done it. It's a little bit puzzling, especially against these teams. But regardless, wins are wins in the NFL. So on the flip side of that, we had the other winless matchup of the week. We touched on Bears Broncos earlier. The other one was Vikings Panthers, both 0-3 coming in this ball game. And Minnesota got behind against a lesser opponent, in my opinion. And especially it was a 99-yard interception return from Carolina's Sam Franklin Jr. in the first quarter that set Minnesota back. But credit to them, they got a defensive touchdown on their own in the second half, a fumble return, and then Kirk hit Justin Jefferson for a 30-yard pass to extend this lead. And once again, Carolina's offense, man, it's tough to watch, especially receivers. They're in the market for a starting receiver is the reports. Perhaps a DJ Moore-esque receiver would be a guy they would want in this offense. So they got to find him wherever he is because they need him desperately. They'll keep being winless unless they find that guy, in my opinion. But I'll touch on Minnesota. Not the best day, not the cleanest performance, but to get your first win, this is the only hope you had of turning your season around, and they did it. So credit to them.
Y'all think Kirk Cousins is feeling it right now? Did y'all see that play?
That performance was...
Well, you see that play where he threw the pick and they ran it back? He tried to tackle him, and you're not really supposed to run the quarterback over.
Oh, I did see that.
But they go after
he got demolished.
he got demolished, man, and I'm sure he's feeling it. But, from the Panthers side of things are not great. You couldn't get things going on this defense. Are you going to get things going on any defense? I mean, geez, man. Andy Dalton did more last week. I'll say that, and I'll just leave it at that. For the Panthers, they need to find something in the passing game. And then the Vikings were actually able to get things going on the ground for the first time with Alexander Mattison, which is good to see if you're a Vikings fan. But they really didn't have to press too hard today. This was a defensive battle. You saw things going both ways, a pick six, and then the pick six the other way, or, just turnovers going left and right. But honestly, for the Vikings, you have to be happy you got a dub, and you can maybe right the ship this year. Maybe they do. I think they will. I think they got the talent to maybe do it on the offensive side of the ball, but worried about that defense still, even if Carolina only scored 13.
Yeah, I'm going to just go on the Panther side since y'all kind of hit the Minnesota pretty good. I don't think it's really that much on Bryce Young or Andy Dalton. It's more so they just can't get this running game going. I mean, they went and got Miles Sanders, who has not been, that good, which Brian, I will say, called that early, in the season. when we kind of looked over these teams, he said, that's more of that offensive line than him, which kind of seemed like it is. They're missing, like y'all said, that number one wide receiver, or even, a Christian McCaffrey type player to kind of carry the load for this team. And just, they don't have neither of those kind of guys anymore. So they have a hole in their offense, and it just seems like they have to sign, like something has to happen. And it's crazy, when you don't have them playmakers, how much you're depending on a quarterback to kind of take over a game for you. And there's just not enough talent on this Panthers team, I think, just at this point for them to really take a game. Than just, the Minnesota side. I mean, I don't really have, the Vikings is one of those other teams we kind of talked about earlier. Just what are we getting? Are you big on them? Are you selling now? Which I think all of us agreed, this offseason, just this is not going to be the team we thought it was last year. And, I've called very early, they got a lot of lucky wins last year. It was like the highest, most 1-point games comeback. I called that out early, and I just think there was, a lot of luck on their side last year. And it kind of seemed like it looking kind of true. I understand they did get a win this week, but just kind of, really going to look and see what this team does, the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Agree with you there, Christian. Pretty disappointing game. I wasn't really hyped to watch that one, but I will say this next one, I was kind of hyped to see what the CJ Stroud show, which has been phenomenal early on, what it would look like against a top-notch defense. Boy, he blew the doors off the place right now. And if I had 2 awards to hand out, just making them up right now, the breakout player of the year, I'm going to give that to Nico Collins so far because he's been very good almost every week. 7 catches, $168, 2 touchdowns, and rookie of the year, the best quarterback play from a rookie. CJ Stroud's been on the field every week, and he's lit the world on fire every week. 300 yards through the air on just 16 completions, really pushing the ball downfield. And the Texans defense, I don't know how to view this because the Texans defense I have hope for and I like the pieces. That said, the AFC North as a whole, there's not one offense. The Ravens have been the best offense, but they're still working through things themselves. But every other offense has been very, very poor. The Steelers today, 6 points. Kenny Pickett, 114 yards. Najee Harris, just 71. He is what he is. God, these offenses are tough to watch in the AFC North. I knew these were a division that's physical and prides itself on defense, but the hope to make playoff wins occur and make a push comes from the flip side of the ball, being able to push the ball downfield and be explosive on offense. And each team's working through that. I think this none more so than the Steelers because their offense looks very lackadaisical right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I know Kenny Pickett left the game. Is he all right? It was a knee injury. I don't know if he came back.
He did come back, I believe. I believe he came back, but he was hobbling around from what I heard the whole day.
Yeah, that is what I heard as well. And, just not a really poor day for the Steelers offense last week and maybe making the Browns look good. I don't know, man, because Baltimore ran up and down the field on them last week. And Kenny Pickett, are you ready to press sell? Because I secretly did maybe a couple weeks ago. But the other side of things is, where was George Pickens, the guy that was supposed to break out in the past game, be the solidified number 1 target, overcome Deontay Johnson? Of course, Deontay Johnson is hurt, but so he default became the number 1. But just 7 targets, 3 catches for 25 yards, and this is Houston.
Props to them. They've been playing good football, though.
I picked Houston to win this football game. I do like Houston. I like where they're building. I just think it was a little early for something like this to happen. But, man, nice for CJ Stroud and company to do something like this. Man, Houston potentially in it for the AFC South?
It's out there.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the Steelers side. I just think, man, this offense has to get going somewhere. Mike Tomlin did come out after the game and said changes are coming. So, I mean, is that Matt Canada maybe getting fired, sign, or what's going on with that? Because if changes are coming, it has to be on the offensive side. So I think that's maybe a new OC's heading to Pittsburgh. I don't know yet, but I just think this offense is just, it's sad. This has been a talk, during the offseason. They were talking about it was going to be a new offense, be better. But I just think as long as that play caller's there, it's not going to change anything. And, the leading pass catcher on the Pittsburgh side was Najee Harris. I talked about him last week looking not NFL speed, and somehow he's leading in passing. So if that happens, you're not winning on the day. And then I will say on the CJ Stroud side, I mean, don't want to jinx a guy, knock on wood now, but still no interceptions. That's something to keep an eye on. I mean, right now, I think it's through 3 games with 900 passing yards, just him, Cam Newton, and Justin Herbert. So good company if your name's being brought up with that, early in your career at least. So I'm ready to see, CJ Stroud when that turnover eventually does come, which I hope it isn't anytime soon, but just how he answers back with that. But just this Houston team, I will say, overachieving already in my book. I mean, that's just, I maybe speak on the coaching side on how good, the coaching is there. And I just think, these wide receivers, Brandon Cook said, he didn't want any piece of this. And maybe he's looking back going, dang, maybe I should have. But Nico Collins coming on the scene, Tank Dell didn't do much today, but it seemed like either it's going to be Tank Dell or Nico Collins. So 2 guys, defenses might want to start looking out for, maybe trying to change up a little bit on what they're doing.
Yeah, exciting stuff from D'Amico's squad there. We're going to keep an eye on the Texans because we keep getting performance like this from CJ Stroud. It could be a rookie-led division winner in that division that's up for grabs. We're really gonna have to watch how that Jackson-Houston game turns out. I think that'll be a fun matchup when those 2 teams link up. Getting to an actual divisional matchup in the late window of games, it was Christian's Chargers coming off their first win of the year against Minnesota. The Vegas Raiders, no Jimmy G tonight. It was Aiden O'Connell and shout out to Brian. He said something about Khalil Mack not being has he registered a sack this year, and he went out and got 6 today on Aiden O'Connell. Just magical performance. Like he owned him all day, and the Chargers got out to a good lead, 24-7. I thought things was smooth sailing, gonna be an easy, comfortable win, and somehow the Raiders worked themselves back into this ball game. I actually had a chance to tie it just over 2 minutes left in the ball game. And O'Connell rolls out on looked like a little rub route they were trying to run, and Sante Samuel Jr. picked them off, read it very well, and that sealed the day for the Chargers. They just got one more first down on a great throw from Justin Herbert, and that was enough. They got the lead, held on. It made it interesting, as Chargers seem to do, but I'll let Christian touch on what he saw from his team and the things he liked from their performance.
Yeah, I'm going to just start out as, it wouldn't be a game if we didn't try to, Charger, and we really tried. I mean, goodness, we tried to do, in the fourth quarter, we try to run, quarterback sneak. Justin Herbert has the hurt hand, which we do have a bye week next week. The hand got stepped on, or maybe after, review, they said it got stuck in the helmet of Max Crosby. So don't know what, his future kind of looks like right now, because I mean, this offense performance was sad today. We've got a very good offense, every week but this week. And then this was the week, you would have asked me, I thought we maybe would have put up a good many points, an ugly game, but it just didn't happen. I mean, we really tried to, I'm looking forward to Austin Eckler coming back at some point because this running attack needs them very badly. Then just, I expected our defense to play that good when there's a rookie quarterback in, which – he had his chance to win the game, and then, they tried to do a little block route. You can say, a pick play is really what it is. And just, Samuel was on it. I mean, he knew what it was before they even knew what it was, and threw it right to him in the chest. My only question to him was why he kind of slid down after the pick. I mean, he could have ran it all the way back. It would have been no worries, but for some reason he slid down, no J.C. Jackson again, which, I mean, say what you want. I'm kind of glad that it's, our defense looks kind of better in my eyes. You can say a waste of contract because, that's what I was hollering, about Khalil Mack. And then I guess Khalil Mack heard me and Brian complaining because he did show up today, 6 sacks. I think that's the most in the game in a while. I think it's only 3 players that have had 6 sacks is what they said on the broadcast. So, I'm just happy we're at least getting some type of pass rush. Granted, it is on a Las Vegas Raiders team. Take it how you want. But, I mean, at the end of the day, a dub's a dub. We're 2-2. I'll take it.
Yeah, I was watching this game with my brother, who is also a Chargers fan. Maybe 2 of the 10 that are out there, but
okay.
I'm sorry.
Go back, Josh Allen. I appreciate you this week, brother. I appreciate you, Josh Allen.
It was funny, man, because he was like, "Man, I'm just so happy to be a Chargers fan to see us winning a game decisively. It's not a close game. It's not coming down to the wire." Sure enough, here they come. Here comes Aiden O'Connell and the Las Vegas Raiders. what? And Khalil Mack with 6 sacks, Justin Herbert 167 yards passing. The Chargers won the game without Justin Herbert passing for 400 yards. But it still was like this. Like, it still was scary. And the stat that really blew me away is Justin Herbert had 12 carries for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's probably more carries than Isaiah Spiller has gotten all year, which it just continues to blow my mind, man. I was expecting to see the run game get going against a really soft Las Vegas Raiders front, and it's not what I saw, but I think Chargers fans are happy to see they came away with a dub in this game without Justin Herbert playing lights out.
Yeah, I mean, after an 0-2 start, you can't really complain too much about back-to-back wins if you're Christian right now. But really interested to see what the offense looks like because it wasn't firing like it usually does today without Mike Williams. As we said last week on the preview podcast, they need one of Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer to step up. Not a whole lot. Palmer did ice it with a great catch to get that last first down, but Quentin Johnson just one catch today. They need more out of one of those two to help out Keenan Allen and get this offense to be the dynamic unit they can be. So we'll watch that moving forward. The other late window game we have to get to here is the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots. We won't spend a whole lot of time because it was a beatdown. Me and Christian try to get cute and call an upset. We'll bow down to Dak Prescott right now. We're sorry. Like, you played lights out, really spread the ball around all day, 9 different receivers he found. And the Dallas defense was on it all day, man. I mean, Mac Jones was fighting for his life out there. He had nowhere to go. Run game never got established. 38-3, that says all you need to know in an NFL game. That's not that big of a spread quite often. And credit the Dallas defense. We wanted to see how they look without Trayvon Diggs moving forward. Looked pretty dang sound to me, albeit it was a New England offense.
Did everything just freeze up for a second for you guys?
I'm still
No, I'm chilling.
I'm
Yeah.
good now, but it did for a second there. All right, we're good then.
Okay. You're good.
Dallas destroyed them in this football game. Dallas bounced back. I think this is exactly the performance you wanted to see if you're a Cowboys fan. Dak Prescott slinging the ball all over the yard. His leading receiving target was Jake Ferguson, the rookie tight end, what you love to see if you are a Cowboys fan. And then, really, offensively, it was ugly for New England. I know they pulled Mac Jones at the end of the game for Bailey Zappi, but Bill Belichick came afterwards and said, look, Mac's our guy. There's no point in keeping him in there, risking injury or anything like that. We just get by. Let's move on to next week and let's get something going, hopefully. But, yeah, nice bounce-back win for Dallas.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to spend too much time. Supposedly, we were going to see Elliott in a bigger role, only 6 carries, but the running game couldn't do anything. And then, the New England, they need kind of what we've been hitting on with a lot of these teams that kind of been struggling is they number one guy. I mean, they have nothing to me that really blows me away in the pass catching area. So, I mean, really, your only weapon right now is Hunter Henry, and that's been your only consistent weapon, really, to me. I mean, Kendrick Bourne did have the one big game, and other than that, he hasn't really done anything for you. They kind of need a new weapon. Honestly, I'm not impressed with Mac Jones at all this season, and a lot of people talk about a lot of poor quarterback play. I'm wondering how Mac Jones is not being brought up in any of that talk, really. I understand it is a New England guy, but it just seems, this is what year 3 now without Tom Brady, and just quarterback play has not been impressive since he's left pretty much. I mean, a lot of people talk about Zach Wilson being poor. I mean, this is a pretty poor game. I mean, I don't hear anybody talking or comparing him to a Zach Wilson or even a Justin Fields. So just what is New England's going to do? Because I just think with any of these high-power offenses like we've seen today with the Cowboys, I mean, I think this is what's going to be the outcome. And just on the Cowboys side, to me, I'm looking, ahead to their next pod maybe, but just maybe what that game is next week with them and the 49ers really set a tone for what I think on this Cowboys team.
Yeah.
I like that, Christian. And I will say, I think the only thing saving Mac Jones from, if he's in that conversation, but you don't hear it a lot like Zach Wilson, is the turnovers. He doesn't turn the ball over at the rate that Zach Wilson does, but he's very handicapped in what he can do And this offense just is sputtering big time. And they're going to be in for a long season and a high draft pick, which is not common in the Bill Belichick era, unless they figure it out on that side
Is
of
he
the
gonna get
ball.
fired?
All right, now you're
No.
still we're
Yeah, no,
Yes,
that's
he
no,
yeah.
is.
Come on,
He
he's
is.
going.
no,
Don't
he's
even try to
not.
push that. That's still the most
Don Shula once got
insane
fired.
thing I've heard. That guy, that's
Bill
his job
Belichick ain't
until
never.
It's gonna be a
yeah.
bit on this podcast.
Golly.
All right,
Nah,
you
you
can
can keep
push
it.
for it, Brian, but yeah. um, getting to our last 425 game, it is the team that Christian mentioned. Dallas is going to be playing next week. That's the San Francisco 49ers, the other undefeated team outside of Philadelphia. And whereas Philly's been kind of squeaking by and eking out wins, San Fran's been dominant week in, week out. And wow, I know it was Arizona, and they still are playing inspired, but San Fran did what they're supposed to do. Brock Purdy, 20 of 21, just one incompletion for 283 and a touchdown. And I'm loving my Christian McCaffrey Offensive Player of the Year pick because 20 carries, 100 yards every week. He's getting touches. He's producing numbers with volume. He's getting involved in the air. And then Ayuk to complement over 148 yards receiving. Man, I see no flaws with this team, and I'm very excited to watch them play Dallas next week.
Yeah, me too. That's going to be a heck of a game, man. Two really good defenses going up against each other. And I am excited to see what Brock Purdy looks like against a good defense like that can maybe get him off his spot and make him have to create a little bit more instead of having some of these easier completions underneath. Though, credit to Brock Purdy. He's done great creating off structure and things like that on his limited opportunities, but there are a lot of nice schemed up rhythm completions, and you can't fault him, just like another player out there that's very similar. But he's just executing the offense at a high level, and man, you love to see it. I think he's elevating this offense even with his play. But Arizona, man, just continues to shock the world being into this game in the first place at all. They beat Dallas last week, and they probably did better than they should have in this game. Josh Dobbs continues to perform at a pretty high level. Man, is he going to take Kyler Murray's job? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I will say he earned his jersey being in the fan shop. As if anyone saw that, he wasn't even in the fan shop, so he earned getting his jersey in there because he's playing good football.
He is, man. He also turned in 48 yards rushing today to add on to his 265 yards passing, so over 300 yards. And hats off to him, although I think they need to stop playing so well because they probably should be getting an early draft pick, but they don't want to. But
Hey, I'm going to start, on the 49er side and just say, they pretty much just Christian McCaffrey, the Arizona Cardinals. Other than the quarterback sneak, every touchdown was Christian McCaffrey. So Brock Purdy got a quarterback sneak, and the rest was the Christian McCaffrey show. Hurdle. It was what we've seen out of Christian McCaffrey. You just want to watch good running back tape, turn them on. That's what you're going to get. And just, I will say Brandon Ayuk did come back and played a great game after his injury last week. 6 catches, 148. I will say I'm impressed with his step up this year. A lot of people, Debo's number one, but Brandon Ayuk is putting up a fight saying, hey, I'm on this team too. And I'll give him credit. When he's healthy, he's showing out. And then on the Cardinals side, just, you get a defensive coach and you're telling me, I understand this is the 49ers, but you let them 3 for 5 on third down conversions. It has to be a record in the NFL. Only 5 third downs the whole game. And then on the other side, you only punt, you let them punt once to you. So one punt, 3 for 5. The 49ers played, probably the best brand of football you can play, other than maybe we'll go back and let Brian have a little joy, since they did lose today. But the 70-point game on Denver, other than that, this is probably near perfect you can play as a team. And I just think, I will say, Joshua Dobbs, give him credit. He's showing why he should be on an NFL team somewhere, and showing that he's a capable starter. I just think they don't have enough on this Arizona team for him. And I will say another guy, Hollywood Brown, he wanted to be a number one guy, and he's produced since he's kind of been a part of this Arizona team as that. So, they have some bright spots, but ultimately I think you might want to be whispering Joshua Dobbs and, hey, brother, we're trying to lose here. Can you quit doing this to us and playing this great? And then Kyler Murray, supposedly he was, question on maybe, getting maybe active, not in this game, but in the near future. And they were kind of putting that on the back burner saying, oh, no, Joshua Dobbs is going to hold it down for another couple weeks. So kind of interesting to see where Kyler Murray does fit in on his timeline, because it seems like this coaching staff is kind of not wanting any part of that.
Yeah, as he should, because these type of performances, they're going to beat some of these lesser teams. It's not enough against the great 49ers team and the likes of that, but he keeps playing like this, they're going to end up with a worse draft pick than they want, like Brian said. That's going to do it for all NFL Week 4 recaps. We'll have 2 games to get to right now. I'm looking over Chiefs, Jets, thought to be a little more lopsided. It's actually only 20-12 Chiefs right now. So we'll keep an eye on that rest of the night and recap that for you guys as well. The Monday night game, Seattle against the New York Giants, when we get back with you Wednesday night, and have that for you Thursday morning on the NFL Week 5 preview. Other than that, either of y'all got anything before we get out of here? Nothing.
Nope.
Thank you, Josh Allen.
Ready
Thank
to
you,
watch the
Josh
Jets
Allen.
lose tonight. Hey, you still looking up, buddy? You still looking up over here?
3-1 starts. We're in the same boat, Brian. We will take a 3-1 start in the NFL.
I'll take
it's
it.
very hard to achieve in a tough conference, to say the least. And Christian, credit to you guys after starting 0-2, bouncing back with back-to-back wins. So good vibes on the podcast right now, and hopefully all of our teams will continue it into Week 5. We'll break down all of those matchups for you, as well as recap the primetime games when we get together. Until then, thank you guys for listening. Continue to like, share, and subscribe, as always, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, guys.